This beautiful custom handmade knife is by Pickarski of CMF Metalworks. Ian has been a guest on the podcast a couple of times. Very interesting young man making these beautiful and interesting handmade custom knives. This I was lucky enough to receive just temporarily as it's on its way to its rightful owner. Thank you both Ian and rightful owner. I'm not sure who you are, but I really, really appreciate your generosity in letting me see this gorgeous knife. This is the Daedalus model number M, or letter M, Daedalus M. Daedalus was the father of Icarus, who warned him not to fly too close to the sun with their wax and feather wings. And, well, cool name. But even cooler knife. Look at how beautiful this thing is. I've had this for about 2 weeks, and I'm going to send it off today, having had a chance to show it off on the podcast and Thursday Night Knives. Now I just want to do a little record of it, a close-up of it, and then I'm going to clean it up according to Alex's strictures on how to return a knife to someone, and then I'm going to send it off to its rightful owner. This thing is unbelievably beautiful. I don't have to tell you because you have eyes and you're watching this video right now. This is a stainless Damascus steel. This is by Chad Nichols, and it's his Virus Pattern. Absolutely stunning. Also stunning is the profile of this blade. It is got that nice recurve, drop point, but it is more than the sum of its parts. It is just a thing that is taken on its own. I don't know. I'm not going to try and philosophize. I just find this beautiful. I find it really, really, really beautiful. It's also very thinly ground. I'm not sure if you can see this. I'm going to try and create. There you go. Look at how thinly ground that hollow grind is. So no doubt this is a fantastic cutter. Of course, I haven't done anything close to cutting with this. I haven't even held it over the floor. I've only held it over this cutting mat and over these sort of polishing cloths, as I am very nervous in its presence because it is something that cannot be replaced. This is a one-of-a-kind type knife, and the workmanship that went into it is to be highly respected, and the fact that it is not mine is to be also respected. So I've been very careful with it. Plus, my propensity to break off the tips of knives, well, does not instill confidence, I'm sure. As you can see by looking down in the pivot there, this is on bearings. I love looking at the cross section of this steel on the spine of the blade. You can see it's on bearings. Very, very smooth action with the thumb studs. Flies right out. And then a little signature of Ian's is this little tiny flipper tab. And it is very compelling because I keep messing it up. But when you get it, it flips out. I would imagine it takes a little getting used to. I haven't flipped it much, but I just have to be careful not to depress the lock bar. Sometimes I get ham-fisted with a knife and even a larger knife, a broader knife than this, and I have trouble flipping them out sometimes. But I love this tiny little flipper tab. It's got 2 jimps in there and probably a little bit of my dead skin at this point. Don't worry, I will remove that. And in the pocket, obviously it doesn't get in the way at all because it's barely there. This is just thing of beauty. I love that giant sharpening choil. And another thing I love is this gorgeous orange peel texture on the titanium handle. Look at that. then you have the pocket clip and backspacer made of this beautiful Damascus material. I'm gonna put the blade in there while I'm looking at that, just in case. You never know. But look at this. This is just beautiful. And I find that, you know, I kind of bristle when there are too many different materials with different patterns. I call it the Mr. Furley effect. If you've ever watched Three's Company from the 70s and early 80s, Mr. Furley always wore these crazy leisure suits with all these different patterns. But I think Ian handles these patterns very tastefully. Here you have this very patterned Damascus, and then it's balanced out by this plain titanium handle, and then you look closely and you realize it's not plain. Not only is it contoured, and the contour itself throws the light across the surface in a way that gives it sort of a pattern, but also it's got the orange peel pattern or texture, which is very subtle. It gives it a very subtle looking pattern. So I think Ian's eye is fantastic, and I think his hand, obviously, his hands at making knives is also fantastic. But I follow him a lot. I follow him on Instagram. I'm always looking at his pictures of his knives, and I feel like he really does a great job in handling all the different potential patterns you get in these exotic materials. Let me close the blade again. And look at this backspacer, how it's sort of, it's got these interesting angles. It starts off flat, and then, or it starts off canted to this angle, and as you rotate it this way, it changes from that angle to kind of flat and parallel to the handles, to then having so it's got this little twist in it. That's so cool. Just a little tiny detail, but not a detail that was, I'm sure, easy to create. Those 3 pins, hidden pins floating that backspacer. Man, and then look at how closely the blade comes to the end. Still, you cannot snag it with your fingers. So it ends up having a beautiful handle to blade ratio there. And man, just such a nice knife. I hate to be crass about it, but I would love to see this in a, well, I love the design. I love the way it feels. It's very ergonomic in hand. But if this were my knife, I would be afraid to use it because it's, it approaches art. I know people, my philosophy on art is that it's something that cannot be used. This, of course, can be used for more than just appreciating, but I wouldn't. So I would love to see this in a more, well, tactical version. I mean, you can see some of his knives tend more towards the micarta and the more user-friendly. Not that this wouldn't work beautifully, but you might be hesitant to use it because it's so beautiful. This is a model that I think would really score high with more common materials, as well as this sort of beautiful custom treatment. Ian is really, I don't know, it seems that he makes knives that someone with more years under his belt would make. They're so refined. And this is the only one I've ever had in hand, but from looking at the designs and then having this in hand, it is obvious to me that his skill is just crazy wonderful. Also, he's a really nice guy and cool and funny. So definitely check him out. Give him a follow on Instagram, CMF Metalworks, Ian Pickarski. Look, even the inside of these scales look like attention was paid to them. So clean. And this cutout here so that you can use the lock bar. Perfect. Cool little flipper. Man, I'm in love with this knife. I've got nothing to compare it to. You know, I usually like to throw in comparisons. There's nothing in my collection that compares, you know, because this is just a fine creation here. But just so that you get an idea of its size, I'll put it up against a standard 3-inch sized knife. This is a just south of 3-inch bladed knife. This also a great knife, Tactile Rockwall. Check out the upcoming interview with them, with Michael Miller of this company, Tactile Knife. But this is a 3-inch bladed knife. So this gives you an idea of how large this is, as do these graduations here. 3.5-inch blade. Absolutely stunningly gorgeous. Congratulations to whomever this is going to, and beautiful purchase. And Ian, well, nicely done, man. Just beautiful. All right, I better box this up before I drop it on its tip. Ooh, I don't even like to say those words. But I'll be sad to see this thing go. This is the CMF Metalworks Daedalus M, made by Ian Pickarski, a gentleman and a scholar, and a wonderful knife maker. All right, thanks for watching.